want to thank everybody who's been with me, my Xbox clan.
When Kobe's going back to play Madison Square Garden, and he's like, hey, hook me up with dinner with Heath Ledger.
Like Russell Westbrook, that was a great feat the other day. I couldn't even tweet it out.
It's Coach Frank Vogel here, full of enthusiasm and positive energy.
Well, first of all, you don't smoke peyote.
And there was a couple games where I was at a hookah lounge. That's the truth. I wasn't smoking hookah, but I was there.
There was a time when the Israelites were wandering in the desert, and all of a sudden, bread came down from heaven. That's kind of what today feels like to have KCP join.
Welcome back to an off-season edition of Bulls vs. Blazers. You can find us, as always, on Apple, Spotify, Google, anywhere else you can find podcasts. Make sure you subscribe, rate, review. Check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/BullsVBlazers. $3 a month. You get an extra episode per week. I am Sean Highkin. With me, as always, Erik Gundersen. Erik, what have you been doing now that the NBA has been over for like a week and a half?
Well, trying to stay busy. I've been working more hours at another job, which has been good. And then, so that's been keeping me busy. And then obviously doing LeBron Wire stuff, news as it comes, like and it's all little type of stuff now. It's like, and it's mostly all like trying to prep for the off season.
Whenever the off season is.
Right. Exactly. It's like, we can only do so much prep work to get fans ready and get ourselves ready for what's going to happen, because the off season is presumably going to start at like the end of November, I would assume, like after the draft. But then, we still don't know what's going to happen, what the modifications are going to be to the CBA. There's been a lot of, reporting out there about how players are going to get paid and how some, teams may ask to like hold their money until they and all this stuff, and like how contracts as we see them may not be what they really are. And I think everyone's trying to figure that out, ourselves included, but most of all, literally everybody in the league, whether it's, the league itself, the teams, agents, and everyone's trying to figure out where they stand in this, off season that kind of a little bit like everyone preparing for the bubble. Like no one really knows what's going to happen.
We've basically been thrust right from the end of the finals into what would normally be August or September, where it's just the slow part of the news cycle. Today was pretty dark, I gotta tell you. We had a whole day's worth of takes and responses to takes about the Lakers applying for salary cap relief or whatever for Luol Deng's contract from like 2 years ago, and that became a whole...
That they probably aren't going to get either. Like on top of that, like they're like Bobby Marks, ESPN's cap guru, like and because Deng signed. This is the Darius Miles thing that Portland had,
right? I remember
12 years ago, where they waived him and they were going to try and get off the contract altogether, and then Memphis signs him to like a 10-day. And the Deng played way more than a 10-day. He played like 20 games or something with the Timberwolves after getting let go by the Lakers. So it would be hard for them to really like apply for like a retired player or disabled player exemption type of thing that would open up extra cap space. They're just doing their due diligence to see if it's possible, but realistically, it's probably not going to happen.
Well, but this is just kind of the take industrial complex and the news cycle and all this stuff. I don't know or care what the details are of whether the Lakers are going to get this salary. I mean, it basically is going to come down to whether they're going to have to pay Luol Deng or whether insurance is going to have to pay Luol Deng his $5 million that he's owed. Like, I just, that is not something that I'm interested in or care about at all. But of course that comes out. People start getting jokes off about it, about the fact that the Lakers, the franchise that applied for a PPP loan early in the pandemic,
and got one, and then gave it back under public pressure. They got a $3 million loan from the Trump administration.
Are the Lakers a poverty franchise? It's tough to say.
Well, here's the thing: they kind of are, and like I used to like kind of I do make fun of it on a level, but like it is kind of like. It is kind of funny that the league's marquee franchise like really is a family business, and the Lakers is like their only real asset to like have cash from. So it's like they like it is funny that they like it is run like a family business, and it is a family business, but they're still the Lakers. And that gets you, in the room with LeBron James, whereas, LeBron was never going to meet with the Clippers because the Clippers are the Clippers.
But I mean, I saw a few people making jokes about the Lakers just doing this to try to save a little bit of money. And then the Lakers fan SME came out like big time.
Oh God!
It was just
like, God,
people are just like I saw a bunch of Lakers fans, like my buddy Mason Ginsberg, who's a Pelicans writer, just tweeted like a joke about it or something, and Lakers fans were in his mentions all day, like, yeah, you're just salty we got AD, or people are just so mad when we win a championship. It's like, you guys won a championship. You really don't need to be online like making fun of fans of another team, making jokes about you guys trying to get money like back for Luol Deng. Like it's you celebrate your championship. It's not it's big respect the Jazz vibes from the Lakers fan base.
I can see that. I can also see where they're like. I can also kind of see. Here's the thing: any team does something like whoever their GM is gonna like. They do have a point in the sense that like. I mean, there are those of us who are Rob Pelinka acolytes and really respect and love him as like, hey, we respect what he did like to build this team and also to get all this power out of this power vacuum when Magic left and, working both sides of the aisle really with Rich and then with ownership, with Rich Paul and then ownership and
this is like, just Robbie Deals trying to make another deal.
Yeah, he's just trying to make a deal. But like, I do think people like, I think there's a desire from smart Laker fan to be accepted in like the nerdy, like capology, like GM cosplay sect of NBA Twitter that there is never like, you're never going to get that. You're the Lakers. Like that's like giving the Dallas Cowboys, like, oh my God, Jerry Jones is so, if they ever did anything, you know what I mean? Like no one's going to be like, oh my God, like, this guy, the Cowboys, just the scouting, like when they got Dak Prescott, like in the 4th round or whatever, no one's like, oh my God, like the Cowboys, like their analytics or whatever. It's like they just got a guy who's good. Like that's just the way it is with the Lakers. Like you're never going to be the team that's going to be like making because they weren't making the small moves on the fringes.
No, they weren't.
They did make good moves on the fringes, but those were only big moves because of the massive moves that they made because they are the Lakers. Like signing Markieff Morris and Alex Caruso, like they did. Listen, the Lakers do deserve credit for their G League team. I do think they use it really well, but like, it doesn't have to go farther than that. And then asking for this, other thing, it doesn't really matter. But it's just it goes back to the, Lakers fans feeling aggrieved about nothing. And us, fans of other teams for the last, 8 years getting to make jokes about how dumb they are and, how stupid they are and us with the real Lakers of Los Angeles. But the fact of the matter is they're just, you are the Lakers. That's like, it's the Yankees. It's whatever. Yeah. It's like no one's going to give you extra credit when you win a championship, because that's what you're supposed to do when you're that team. So like no one, like you're not going to get any, extra brownie points from us because you applied for a little exception that literally anybody else would apply for if possible,
And they're trying to say basically, well, but nobody would be making jokes about any other team doing it. It's like, yeah, because they're
no the Lakers.
Right. Like you enjoy your championship that your team just won and let everybody else make jokes. And like that shit should roll off you. You gotta, I would say act like you've been there before, but a lot of these Lakers fans are too young to even remember the last time they were good, even though it was only 10 years ago.
No. I agree. It's like, maybe you don't get to take part in the NBA Twitter jokes about the Lakers because you're a Laker fan. Like, that's just, guess what? You get to celebrate a championship and you only had to wait 10 years between your last one. Like that's the deal that you made when you became a fan of the Lakers, is that sometimes when everyone makes a Lakers joke, you are the butt of it. But when they win the championship, you win the championship and nobody can tell you anything that's going to take that away. So, I would say Lakers fans should just get off of, you know, maybe if social is not the place for you, like the constant conversation of NBA Twitter, take a break. You won the championship. Who gives a shit?
I understand it a little bit more from the Warriors fans, where their team was a joke for 40 years until they started winning championships. And so they really just genuinely have no idea how to act. But if you're a Lakers fan and you're like, oh, people are just mad that we're applying for an exception for this Luol Deng salary cap. Like, come on. Like, you just log off. You know, the Dodgers are in the World Series. You've got like other stuff to do. Have you been watching the World Series, by the way, or the baseball
I've been watching baseball. I did not watch the World Series tonight. I did see that the Dodgers kicked that Tampa booty tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I would be fine if the Dodgers won. They've been in the World Series 3 out of the last 4 years. Like, it kind of does feel like it's their time. But I do love the Rays. Like Randy Arozarena, that dude just mashes, and I love how just kind of plucky and kind of, you know, young they are. There's a bunch of like no names that we really don't know for the most part, except for Mariners legend Mike Zunino, their catcher. Shout out to the Mariners.
I think on principle, we have to root for the Dodgers, because I don't like how the Rays' entire thing is anytime one of our guys gets good enough that we have to pay him, we just trade him for more prospects. And we're just like, we have the lowest payroll. Just on principle, I think I like what the Dodgers do more than I like what the Rays do. And I also, so tonight, Mookie Betts hits a home run, steals 2 bases, has a couple of really good plays in the outfield. And they keep on rubbing it in that the Red Sox, the most one of the most profitable franchises in sports, gave him away for nothing just because they didn't want to pay him. And as a Yankees fan, I really hated to see that they just kept rubbing it in like that.
You hate to see that. Did your dad hate to see that since he's a Red Sox fan?
Oh, well, my dad is out on the Red Sox now. At least in part because of that. Like, I was talking to him about it the other day, and he was just like it was like right after Mookie Betts had this incredible catch against
Atlanta, the center field one.
Yeah.
I was watching that game.
Yeah. He had that catch, and I was talking to my dad about it later, and my dad was just like, yeah, I just haven't really had any interest in baseball. I think it's pathetic that the Red Sox just gave away the best player they've had in 60 years because they didn't want to pay him when they make so my dad, who's been a diehard Red Sox fan since he was growing up in Connecticut in the 60s, is like out on the Red Sox now because they didn't want to pay one of the best players they've ever had. So you really hate to see it.
Yeah, I respect it. My mom and we've been talking baseball playoffs. My mom's Venezuelan, so she's a huge baseball fan. And
are there any Venezuelans in the World Series?
Yeah, the Dodgers have a reliever that I forget his name right now.
Is it Urias?
No, it is not Urias. It is Louis Keene just called him his son today. Our friend of the show, Louis Keene. Let's see.
Shout out to Louis. Yeah, that's the homie.
I'm trying to find where the hell. Brusdar Graterol.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That he's Venezuelan. He's from
So the group chat is like a lot of, you know, it's like Juice Manji, Julian, and like Brent, like Josh Androsky. It's like all these like LA comedians, and so like my group chat is like just all popping off about the Dodgers because they're all Dodgers fans, and so I've kind of been learning about who any of these guys are, because I got to be honest, like I watched in a normal year. I barely watched any baseball this year because it was on at the same time as the bubble, which doesn't usually happen. In a normal year, when baseball is on in the summer and that's the only thing on, I watch the Yankees pretty consistently, but I'm not going to just be watching random other games the way I do with the NBA if it's not the team I'm covering.
No. I'm not. I don't have MLB extra innings or MLB TV. Like I know you probably have to have it to watch the Yankees.
Yeah, I do have but I got the single team package, so I don't even have like the full thing.
I'll watch a Mariners game here and there because they're on local television, but like, you know, there was like a brief moment there where we thought we might be able to sneak into a spot in the playoffs, and then it kind of faded away. And, you know, and that's Mariners fandom for the last almost 20 years at this point. So,
have they been in the playoffs since the Ichiro rookie season?
No, not 19 years now. They haven't been to the playoffs. So, yeah, man, it sucks. We had a play-in game like 4 or 5 years ago, I want to say. And we had a play-in game against Oakland and we lost. Like, it sucked. It was a bummer. That was the closest we've gotten though.
So I've been there's two things I've been enjoying during the baseball playoffs besides just really hating to see how much they're harping on Mookie Betts being just given away by the Red Sox and just being awesome now. One was, so during the game tonight, you know how they have the Taco Bell promotion where every stolen base gets everybody like free tacos.
Oh yeah.
So Mookie Betts gets the first steal tonight, and since there's like not as many fans in the ballpark, they actually do have some fans in the ballpark, which, I mean, that defeats the purpose of doing a bubble and playing in just one neutral site, but that's a whole other discussion. But like there's less fans, and so it's quieter. Mm-hmm. And so you can hear a little bit more of what the players are saying to each other. And so Mookie Betts and the Rays second baseman are just like joking around with each other and laughing just loudly for like 5 minutes about everybody getting free tacos. And I'm wondering if like a Taco Bell sales rep told them to do that.
Hey, I would not put it past them. Like, you get a little extra cheddar on your if you know what I mean. You get a little extra cheddar on your cheesy gordita crunch or whatever. Like,
it's actually the Doritos Locos taco that they're giving away.
Here's the thing about the Doritos Locos taco.
Okay,
it's actually good. Like, if you like salty fast food, there are a few there, like, it just hits a spot. I'm like, I last time I went to Taco Bell, I think it was actually no, I didn't get one the last time I went to Taco Bell, but the 2 times ago when I went to Taco Bell, I got a Doritos Locos. And I remember we were in college, I think, when the first Doritos Locos tacos came out.
Oh, I remember it well. I had a roommate in college one year who, when it first came out, would get it, and he would he would get like 5 of them, and then he'd eat 2 of them, and then the other ones would just sit in the fridge for a week, which was not tight.
Ew.
Yeah.
Cold McDonald's, cold fast food, cold Taco Bell, whatever the fuck. Cold fast food is not okay. I would
ask him why he did it. He's like, it's economical. It saves trips. That was a weird year.
Well, I'm glad you and the yeah. Well, I'm glad you got out of that one.
Yeah.
That was a year.
That wasn't Scott. That wasn't friend of the program, Scott Leedy.
No, I figured it wasn't Scott Lee. I mean, Scott is like maybe has the most refined palate of anybody that I know.
I don't know when the last time Scott was in a Taco Bell. Probably not for like 20 years.
Like his Instagram is like always like, you know, great, beautiful food that he's making or eating somewhere. Like,
Scott was gonna come visit me in Chicago one time when I lived there, and he was like, I really want to go to Alinea. And for those of you who don't know what Alinea is, it's one of those like it's like food art places where each person is like $2,000 or some shit.
Oh, like, yeah. Okay.
And I was just like, yeah, dude, you go ahead and do that if you come. I'm not gonna. He didn't end up coming, but I was like, yeah, you go ahead. I'm not doing that.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's lots of great food things that are insanely expensive, but the Doritos Locos Taco is not one of them. We were talking about the Lakers and this whole, it does sound like pretty much everybody like that can opt out is gonna opt out. So
for the Lakers,
yeah, Rondo, KCP, Dwight. Well, no, Dwight was expiring anyway. So you have those 2 guys.
Did you see Shams reported that the Warriors are going to have interest in bringing Dwight in?
I did, which is very, very Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr loves the center. Steve Kerr is like believes the center is still here. I mean, honestly, too, like if you're them, like, and you think, you're going to have one more year with the Draymond, Clay, Steph kind of group. It's a similar thing to Anthony Davis in a way where Draymond at center is your best lineup, but Draymond can't play center the whole year without breaking down and probably getting injured. And so like that is a great reason for them to bring in Dwight. And hey, the Warriors are going to be back. Like they had a gap year. I think that's one thing we should definitely be, that's definitely a talking point that I think a lot of people are zoning in on, but is important to remember heading into this offseason where, they have the second pick in the draft, but they also have,
there's no chance they keep that pick.
But here's the thing. There's no chance they keep that pick, but who are they going to get with that pick? Like, that helps them next season. Like, I think
the idea is they use that pick to help get off of Andrew Wiggins' money. I don't know. But we don't even know what the salary cap is going to look like.
We don't know what the salary cap is going to look like. And it's like, we all know it's not going to be like the whole bullshit that, like, listen, props to Warriors Twitter for getting that talking point out there and having people start the dialogue. But there's nothing that, to me, that the Wiggins and the second pick is going to get you that really makes you that much better, because you're still going to have to match salary. Like, I mean, I guess, and also I feel like it's too early for them. Like, if I'm them, like, I would much rather try to sell like Andrew Wiggins on being like a role player with the Warriors than I would be of, say, trading him and number 2 for Victor Oladipo or something like that. Like, I feel like that's probably like, because then they don't have to give up a young player. They can just keep Wiggins, and maybe it works out as him like being like souped up Harrison Barnes. Like, to me, the Wiggins thing, obviously most people have soured on him, but if he's playing the Harrison Barnes role, I feel like that could go really well for the Warriors. When you have a bunch of plus passers, you have Steph and Draymond who are elite passers. He doesn't have to do a lot. He can just cut and shoot a couple open threes. Like, Andrew Wiggins is not a star, and he's not Maple Jordan, but like, he's not, to me, I don't think he's shitty. Like, I think for the role that he could potentially play, and you look at the trade pieces that maybe you could, I don't know if you could get a better guy that could maybe fit in as like a really good role player at that spot than him, unless you're getting more than one player, which is like, if you can trade Wiggins for like, say, 2 other pieces, then maybe that works. But then which team is going to be in a position to be like, well, we're going to give up 2 good contributing pieces, like maybe Oklahoma City? Like, I'm trying to think of anybody that would do that, and I don't see that team out there, at least knowing what we know now about, who's available and what teams are going to look like.
I also think that, I think you have a point there. They're definitely about Wiggins. Like, I think maybe they, hold on to him. I also think that the Warriors, and then also the Lakers, and probably the Clippers too, and Miami, and some of these other teams that are A, good, and B, in, desirable places. And I think I mentioned something about this on the last episode, which if you didn't listen to the last episode where we recapped the bubble, I think I kind of went into this a little bit. But I think because the salary cap is going to be so much lower than people thought it was going to be because of the pandemic and how much money everybody lost, a lot of these guys that are free agents are going to probably end up just taking 1-year deals just to try to reset the market next year. And so I think you're going to see the Lakers and the Warriors and the Clippers all be getting like good rotation players for less money than like you could probably, maybe you could get like Danilo Gallinari on the mid-level exception or something if you're like the Lakers or the Warriors. Speaking of which, did you see Danilo Gallinari had like a
Clutch Points graphic?
It wasn't actually a Clutch Points graphic because it didn't have the logo, but it was like a Clutch Points style graphic where it was like him with a blank jersey that's had the number 8 on it, but still in the Oklahoma City font. Mm-hmm. Like towering over 4 figures of him with the Knicks, the Nuggets, the Clippers, and the Thunder. And then his caption was like, "Where to next?" with the thinking face emoji.
And Yusuf Nurkic was like, "Hey, bro," and then used like the finger over the mouth emoji.
Gallinari to the Blazers confirmed.
Hey, they're gonna need some. I'm starting to be a lot more pessimistic that Carmelo Anthony is going to be a Blazer again.
Well, it does seem like he might have just been saying that, but also like that he wants to be back. I'm sure he does feel that way, but when Brian Windhorst also said, and I realize I'm aggregating Brian Windhorst on another podcast.
Brian, I'm sorry, but we're gonna do it.
Brian, if you're listening to this, cover your Brian. If you happen to be one of the 25 people that listen to this podcast, cover
Whoa,
your ears
Brian.
for this part.
Whoa, Brian.
He did say that if the Knicks trade for Chris Paul, that it's likely that Melo would go with him because
Wendy's blood pressure is through the roof right now, bro.
I know we almost aggregated. We haven't fully aggregated him. We haven't reported this as fact or like gone with this as fact off of something Wendy said, but we're on the line. We're walking the line of aggregating Wendy.
Yeah. I mean, tough line. Very, very, very tough line to walk, I say.
But I think I think Melo is either going to stay in Portland or he's going to go back to the Knicks. I don't see how it's anything besides one of those two options.
The only other thing that I can think of is which I don't think they do, if the Lakers have a deal for Kuzma. No, if they have a deal for Kuzma, like on the table and they're moving Kuzma, which I'm sure they want to do, but I don't think with knowing that Kuzma is going to be up for an extension or he's up for an extension this summer and will be a restricted free agent next summer, I don't think you want to put yourself in a position of potentially having to pay and have the matching rights and all this stuff with Kuzma. Like, I don't know what team out there is like, hey, let's trade for Kuzma right now. Like, I just don't see it. So unless maybe it's a package deal, but if they lose Kuzma, then maybe I could see Melo having some kind of role, but I think that they're going to be looking other places, whether it's, Chris Paul, if they can figure something out, like a three-way where they can get into that, or, the Derrick Rose rumors are out there. I don't think that's very likely. Just because
really hope that doesn't happen.
Well,
I don't need Derrick Rose on a relevant team.
Well, we also we've seen this movie before.
Yeah.
With LeBron and him. And I think it didn't work out. I think he didn't really respond very well to being in the spotlight of a LeBron team. I don't think he did very well with that. Derrick Rose personally, he had to take a leave of absence from the team for a brief time, even though he was, physically healthy.
Right.
And I don't think, that was part of a weird season, but, I just don't know if that
was the Dwayne Wade year too, right?
That was the Dwayne Wade. That was the Jay Crowder year after the Kyrie trade. Jay Crowder didn't work out there either. I mean, it was a whole bunch of parts that didn't really fit that I think the front office and maybe LeBron as well thought would work, but did not. And I don't see the Derrick Rose thing happening. I think there's I think there's probably a better chance that they maybe bump up Rondo's salary a little bit more. But maybe not, because there's another, the Bradley Beal rumors are out there as well, which
I don't think they have enough to trade.
They don't have enough to trade. They'd have to get it would basically have to require a third team getting in the trade to provide all the assets that the Lakers don't have.
And if
for anybody, and it's like, who do the Lakers player wise have to give for that team to give up assets? And the answer is pretty much nobody. Like, it's Kuzma and Caruso, and that's it. And it's like, if I'm another front office, like, that doesn't sound really enticing to me to give up assets that I could be using to trade to benefit me and not the Lakers down the line.
Right. And if you have all these assets that are enough to get Bradley Beal, wouldn't you just go out and get Bradley Beal for yourself?
Yes, exactly. Like, if your assets are the missing piece, it's like, why would we reroute him to the Lakers so that they can just have another star to make it all the much easier to dominate us all? Like,
what's Caruso's contract situation, by the way?
I think he's making just above the minimum. Let me see. He's a free agent after next year, I believe.
Okay. Well, he's going to get paid.
Oh, he's getting paid for sure. Let's see where this contract is.
It's going to be really funny when Detroit or somebody gives him a 4-year, $80 million deal.
Yeah, like Dellavedova, like when Delly got a big deal after the Cavaliers championship.
And then he wasn't a meme anymore, and nobody paid attention to him.
And nobody cared. But
right.
And now he's back with the Cavs.
He's back with the Cavs? I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, dude, he signed with them this year. Or last year. The Bucks released him or something.
I swear I did not know that. I mean, I haven't paid attention to the Cavs in like 18 months.
Oh, dude, it was last year when the Bucks traded, or the Cavs traded George Hill to the Bucks.
Oh, so he was a throw-in in the big George Hill, John
Henson. Yes, John Henson.
John Henson is like somewhere else now, right?
John Henson,
he's in Detroit.
Like, I was going to say, I didn't even know he was in Detroit. I thought he was out.
Well, he was part of the Drummond trade.
Oh, that's right. I thought...
God, so many of these dudes are just like on other teams. Like
I thought John Henson was out of the league for
I was talking to my dad about something the other day, and we were talking about like Blazers teams from like 2 or 3 years ago, and I mentioned Evan Turner's name in passing, and he was like, so where's Evan Turner now? Because he doesn't really follow it that close. He was like, so where's Evan Turner? And I was just like, he was traded to Atlanta, but I think he got traded. So then it was like Minnesota, and then like I had to look it up to see that Evan Turner is apparently in Minnesota, which I did not remember happening. I think he might have been like bought out or was like a throw-in in the Covington and Capella trade or something.
No, it was the three-way because he was on the Hawks. Because the
right.
Blazers made everyone did like a shuffling of deck chairs last year with 2016 Summer of Love contracts, and none of them worked out at all. Like Bazemore gets traded to the Blazers, absolute disaster. Evan Turner on the Hawks does absolutely nothing. Like, it was just a bunch of just like, let's fuck it, let's just try something new, and it was a massive failure across the board for pretty much everybody.
But like all of these, the quote unquote delete 8, the team that didn't make the bubble, except for the Bulls, just because I used to cover the Bulls, so I paid a little bit more attention to them since the restart happened. But like the Cavs and the Hawks and the Timberwolves and the Pistons and just all these other teams, I literally have not thought about in 8 months. So I have no idea who's on any of those teams, or like you could tell me that Jason Maxiell is back in the league and he's on like the I don't know, the Timberwolves, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, I could see it,
dude. The Jason Maxiell is actually like a recurring topic in my household.
How come?
Okay, so
is he in the Real Housewives like extended cinematic universe or something?
So he was not basketball. It was Basketball Wives.
Oh, really?
And like,
okay.
my wife was watching Basketball Wives one day, and I saw like underneath it said like wife of Jason Maxiell, and I started dying. Like, why? Because this was like Jason, like this. I saw the episode during like Jason Maxiell's like last year in the league when he was on the Hornets, and he was like he let himself go. He was like not in shape anymore, and I was like, how is this guy in the league? And then I come home, like I was at home a couple days later after seeing Maxiell in Portland on the Hornets getting garbage time, and like I started laughing like so hard when I saw that Jason Maxiell's wife, it has her own story arc on Basketball Wives.
You know who the most random, like, former, like, NBA, like, fringe rotation player that I've seen on one of these shows is Sean Williams, the one with the S-H-A-W-N-E.
The Sean E. Williams?
Yeah.
I always called him Sean E. I just like, that's what I always called him.
So, do you remember, did you guys ever watch Marriage Boot Camp?
Oh, bro, yes. When Soldier was on it, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's why I was watching.
Oh, dude, Kelsey is very, like, she's deep into the Marriage Boot Camp universe. Like, I'll come out on, like, a weekend day, and she'll be, like, binging, like, some shitty, like, not even the Soulja Boy version, like, some other version of Marriage. But I did see the Soulja Boy, but go and continue with the...
But, like, and I was just like, oh, that's right, Sean Williams, I remember him. He was, like, a throw-in in the Carmelo trade, and then he was, like, ended up on the Nets briefly, and, like... And then it's like, oh, I guess his wife is, like, in this reality TV world. Okay. Like,
yeah, hey,
we're gonna
you gotta make money. Dude, you gotta make money, bro. Like,
yeah.
Hey,
I think we're gonna do the Kelsey episode. We've been teasing it for a long time. I think we're gonna do the Kelsey episode as our Patreon episode.
Yeah, I think it's more like this weekend situation.
Yeah, like this weekend we're gonna do that. And I think she and I might have to talk a little bit about like the Soulja Boy Marriage Boot Camp season.
Oh, dude, and also, the Soulja Boy's brief story. You know, he's no longer there, but when he was on Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, you know, Soulja was always involved there as well. I also remember there being a pretty prominent on the one episode of Basketball Wives I watched with Jason Maxiell. There was a very prominent Tyreek Evans storyline as well. So yeah,
man, that Tyreek Evans just makes me sad. Like I hope.
Yeah, I hope he's good too. I hope he's good. It's been 1 year, right?
It's been 1 year. He has another year before he can be reinstated.
Hey guys, stay away from the cocaine.
We don't know what that was what he was doing.
Well, okay. Well, it was one of very few possible things.
Right. There was a list. There's a list of drugs called drugs of abuse, which is the same thing that Birdman had. Which I don't think we've ever found out what Birdman was.
People, because of the time it took place in, like the middle of the Bush era, everyone just assumed it was meth,
and also just what he looks like.
Yeah.
I've heard a few different things about what OJ Mayo's was. I'm not going to speculate on the podcast. I've heard some things though, so it seems like he's doing better.
Dude, he's in China and he's not tweeting from the strip club like Ty Lawson, so that's a win. He's not tweeting about how Chinese women have cakes on the low. Like that's something he's not doing.
That's just that's just if you want to talk about costing yourself money because of a social media post about China, it's like him and Daryl Morey are in a horse race for.
Wow, dude. I mean, Houston Rockets.
Houston Rockets legend Ty Lawson.
Houston Rockets legend, dude. That was I remember when they was that was gonna be the missing piece. He got bought out or something, and then it was Ty Lawson coming to the Rockets, and I was like,
well, no, he didn't get bought out. He got traded there from Denver, and Daryl got him to agree to make his contract non-guaranteed in order to be traded there because he just wanted out of Denver.
I feel like that's also some that's some. I would think that was some John Lucas influence stuff, being hey, you tell him I mean, I'm just saying, John Lucas is
future Houston Rockets head coach John Lucas.
That's right. Where he hasn't coached in 20 years. That's I mean, yeah.
The two lead candidates are a guy who hasn't coached since 2003 and a guy who hasn't coached since 2007.
Oh, what did didn't Tilman say something today on television?
Yeah. So he went on CNBC like he always does.
Which
he's just a regular contributor to CNBC.
Well, I think he had a show for a brief time.
Was it called Shut Up and Listen, his memoir?
No, I forget what it was called, but Tilman Fertitta had he had a show. I just called him Fertitta like Rick Barry.
Okay. In the Round Ball Rock.
In the Round Ball Rock cameo, of course. Yeah.
So he said on CNBC today that there's no reason for them to blow up the team and they're trying to compete for a championship. So just, 2 months from now, whenever free agency begins, James Harden's for sure getting traded to the Knicks now.
Yeah. I believe on Twitter, the perfect response to that is lying greater than sign after. That would be just clear lying. I mean, yeah, we have all these actual comments that are not he's doing damage control right now.
Right.
He's clearly in damage control mode because everyone sees the writing on the wall. Daryl Morey doesn't get fired. He steps down. He's I'm done with this. And now it's everyone's making fun of him. And then
that's his way of being hey, I'm not actually broke.
Right, exactly. We're gonna pay you guys, but he really won't at the end of the day.
No,
and
it must be in his CNBC contract that they can't ask him whenever he's on any of these shows. They can't ask him whether Daryl Morey's exit was about China. The only person that's asked him about that was Sopan, and then he hung up on him.
Well, and I'm sure that they have a thing in there where they can't insinuate that he's broke.
Right, that's true. That's why you have to go to Bulls vs. Blazers to get the real analysis about Tilman Fertitta's finances.
Right, exactly. Which he's a broke ass, and he's losing a lot of money on the restaurant business and casino business, which are not doing well. Although I guess we should talk about it briefly. The Lakers were in Vegas over the weekend.
I didn't see a lot of masks being worn, which was not great.
Not great. I mean, they did allegedly have they had their own private area, but come on. You can't tell me that there's not a lot of guests, if you will, to put it in a very PC term.
So here's my third eye theory about this.
Okay.
As always, on Bulls vs. Blazers, we keep our third eye open at all times.
Mm-hmm.
This year, when the Lakers win the championship, LeBron's whole thing was, they said we gave up too much for AD. They said I couldn't do it in the West. They said that me and AD don't fit together. They said all this stuff. He doesn't really have any of that right now. He needs to come up with a new thing that they said. So I think he's trying to get COVID so that he can recover from COVID and then next year be holding up the Larry O'Brien trophy and be like, they said I couldn't get COVID, and then come back and win finals MVP again.
Okay. I mean, maybe that's what it is. I'm trying to think of what else LeBron could maybe think. Oh, dude. Oh, wait. Oh, this is not something here it is, dude. They said Space Jam 2 couldn't take place in a multiverse, but guess what? It's taking place in a multiverse. Did you hear about that?
Wait, it is?
Yeah.
I saw who tweeted that?
Ben Meckler.
Was it that? Okay, you know that was a joke, right?
No, it was like what?
No, that okay. So do you follow that dude?
No.
That dude's like whole thing, and I don't feel bad because you're not the only person that fell for this, but like that dude's whole, he's like friends with the Roundball Rock guy, so like I know about this. Like
okay.
That dude's whole like recurring bit on Twitter is he'll just be like, I just went to an advanced screening of X movie. I can't believe this thing happened. Everybody was just in disbelief, and it was just like some totally ridiculous thing that he made up.
Yeah, but someone else reported it. Like they had a leak, and it wasn't sourced from that guy. Like,
is it true?
Yeah, and it's like they're gonna have at least there's gonna be the Joker, the Mask, the Witch, the Pennywise, and the Wicked Witch of the West that are gonna be in Space Jam 2. Yeah, because they're they're all Warner Brothers properties, so they can get. So it's gonna be like LeBron, the WNBA players, the NBA players, the Looney Tunes against like all these villains from the Warner Brothers cinematic universe.
Playing like LeBron going up to dunk on Voldemort because Harry Potter's like a cinematic.
Yes, no. I was just saying, like, dude, LeBron throwing the oop to Harry Potter, like, that has to happen, right?
Oh my god, I don't believe
it's really happening. I've seen other sources than that guy. Like, it sounds, dude.
Okay,
I think
if it was just that guy doing it, like that's like his thing. That's like
there was someone else like leaked images from like the film tape of like it had like the Wicked Witch and the Mask and it and Pennywise or whatever. And so it's
this is gonna be like the worst movie of all time.
I mean, sure, but like also maybe it would be. I mean, Space Jam 1 wasn't a great movie by any means either, but like
no, but it wasn't trying to be more than it was. I feel like when you're getting to the point where it's like I feel like the animation is going to be too realistic. It's going to be like the Joker. It's they're going to spend way too much money on the special effects. Like Space Jam 1 being low budget is like what makes it good.
But here's the thing. We're also in this world now where like because of Into the Spider-Verse, like we are like movies, superhero movies or animated movies with a multiverse where you include characters from other stories is kind of like a new wave now in these things because they own all the intellectual property. It's like you might as well use it for this shit, and it's like God, I don't know. Like, it does sound like it's gonna happen though. Like
I'm just not interested in any of the comic book movies. Like I thought the Spider-Verse movie was good, but I thought that one was good because that was the kind of movie that somebody like me could enjoy who's like not into the comic books. Like,
well, the new Spider-Mans are good.
All of these ones where it's like they 3-hour like epic movies about like the Avengers. I don't care. I have no interest in any of that stuff.
Yeah, no, I have not seen Endgame. I only saw the first 2 Avengers movies because I was on a long flight, and so like I watched them during the flight. But other than that, I haven't I haven't seen all the Iron Mans. I haven't seen all the Thor movies. I've basically seen none of the individual Avenger movies at this point. I mean, hey, like. My brother loves the comic books. Like my brother is like a huge comic book head.
I'm not mad at it if anybody else likes it. It's just like not in my wheelhouse at all.
No, and like I get it, but also it's like a lot of the Marvel movies now have become like, yeah, we're like doing this thing, and then it's like the American military taking over the world, and it's like that's literally every movie is like we're like going to use this superpower Marvel thing to sell in the American military industrial complex. And it's like,
because the military is like underwriting the cost of the movie.
Basically. Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, here, Iron Man has going to build a weapon that can destroy literally everything.
And the troops are the only people that can rescue you.
Hey, and there you go. Shout out to the troops. Shout out to their families as well, I guess.
And particularly Myers Leonard's brother.
Yes, and Myers Leonard, because Myers is basically the troops.
I mean, he plays so much Call of Duty that he might as well be.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about LeBron doing becoming Magic during Dodgers games?
I don't like it because he's a Yankees fan, and we all true day one LeBron observers know that he's a Yankees fan.
This is
so
true.
I don't like this.
Yeah, I mean he treats his sports teams like he treats his basketball teams. You know what I mean? Like he just kind of decides he's going to be a fan of one of them, and then he just kind of moves on. Like he was he was a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan, and now he's like #1 Browns fan.
Once you wear a Yankees hat to a Yankees-Indians playoff game while you're on the Cavs and there's like rampant free agency speculation that you're going to the Knicks, you're all in. Like you can't like leave and just become a fan of
2016 when the Indians played the Cubs. He was all in on Cleveland. That was also the same year that he won the championship for the Cavs, so I can kind of get that. And he was still on the Cavaliers. But
that was actually that was actually funny because that was the year that Dwayne Wade was on the Bulls, and they had they had that bet where they had like the World Series bet, and so LeBron showed like a month after the Cubs won the World Series, LeBron showed up to the United Center wearing a full Cubs uniform.
I do remember that. That was funny, and dude, LeBron was an iconic part of that Game 7 because like whenever that I forget what guy it was hits the tying run for to send it into extras in Game 7. He was like going crazy and I mean, listen, LeBron literally said on one of his tweets, he will die for sports.
He did say that.
We're going to go back and read this one because this is
an all-time tweet.
Oh my God.
But I mean, the Dodgers are doing it for Kobe also.
They are.
Because he went to a game once and threw out the first pitch. And so the Dodgers are doing it for Kobe.
And he wore the jersey.
Yeah. God. I'm just, whatever.
Okay. Here we go.
Is this it?
This is it.
Okay.
Can't stand for it anymore. Because of I heart emoji and will die right now for my sport and for sports in general. # just my opinion. I don't even know what he's referencing back in March of 2017, but I'll never forget this tweet where he's just like, I will die for my sport and for sports in all caps in general. # just my opinion.
I like that. You want to hear my favorite LeBron tweet of all time?
Yes.
This is the most I've ever related to LeBron in my entire life.
Okay.
Probably the closest thing that he and I have ever had to a shared experience. This is from 2011, so like right after he got on Twitter. So at the time, this was before I ever got an iPhone, so I was still about the BlackBerry life at the time.
Oh, wow.
LeBron was also about the BlackBerry life at the time. This tweet was sent on Twitter for BlackBerry. And I remember this because the actual good BlackBerry app for Twitter was called Uber Twitter.
Oh, God.
And it went out for a day. And then LeBron tweeted something twice. And then he tweets out, sorry for the double tweet. No Uber Twitter is no joke. And I was just like, LeBron, I felt that.
Hey, dude. It's always good when LeBron puts out a relatable tweet.
Yeah. Are you getting the iPhone 12?
No, I'm probably not. I have the 11, so I'm sitting pretty right now.
I had the 10, so I'm getting the 12, the Pro.
Yeah, I think my wife might get the 12 when the time comes, but I am not going to be getting the 12. I got an 11 like end of last year.
Yeah.
Gosh, what else is going on in the league right now? The Pelicans haven't hired a coach yet.
It sounds like Stan is probably going to be it. Oh, the Pacers hired a coach today.
Oh my God, someone that I've never heard of before.
Yeah, he's like
Björk.
Yeah, Björk. I'm gonna get some tweets off whenever he like challenges. I gotta go back through I haven't read.
I was about to say you got to know the catalog. I don't know shit about.
Oh,
Björk.
I know the Björk catalog. I just haven't. I'm actually I know the catalog pretty well. I just haven't listened to any of it in like a long time.
I believe his name is Nate Björksen. Björkgren. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. My I assumed that it was like it's a different ending on the Scandinavian last name.
I'm gonna Björk is Icelandic, which is Iceland a part of Scandinavia?
Iceland is part of Scandinavia.
Okay. Okay. So it's like it's the greater diaspora. Okay.
They have the same flag structure as all the Scandinavian countries, like Finland, Norway, Sweden. They all have that kind of cross that's like a little bit to the left. It's not like a 50-50.
Okay. So I'm gonna have to go back through the Björk discography and figure out some go-tos.
Yeah, Iceland is like trendy Scandinavian.
Okay.
I would say. I forgot to include the Danish in there. Shout out to Denmark.
Well, if you haven't explored the Björk discography, it's pretty incredible. At least the first like 4 or 5 albums. I kind of fell off of it after that, but those first 4 or 5, basically everything up through like Vespertine the one she had after that was like all voices. That was like the entire album was like a cappella but with like different voice effects. That one was pretty good too. And then she had one where like Timbaland produced some songs, and like I thought that was going to be good and then it wasn't.
Damn. You always think I was listening to the documentary the other day, and the game album, and the Timberland, the Put You on the Game is like a classic Timberland like production.
Well, this was like right when he was in the middle of that run where like he had the Justin Timberlake album and then he had the Nelly Furtado album that had like Promiscuous Girl on it.
Yeah.
And like this was like the game album and like the Björk album that he worked on was like kind of the same era. Did you see that 50 Cent endorsed Trump, by the way?
Yeah, not surprised. Like,
not at all.
Not like that's just fucking. He's 50 Cent, man. He's always gonna find a way to like create some kind of problem. Like, this is who he is. Like, and he's rich. Like, I'm not surprised at all that he's like, yeah, let's go Trump. And then I saw that either Eric Trump or Donald Jr. tweeted out like a photoshopped photo of 50 sitting next to Ice Cube, both with Trump hats on. Is Ice Cube also endorsing Trump, or am I tripping?
Ice Cube, I don't think Ice Cube has explicitly endorsed Trump, but Ice Cube's whole thing was...
Isn't he Q?
He's not Q. He's like in the same family of anti-Semitic, like, you know, the Jews control the banks, like
like have you ever heard of the Rothschild family?
Right. That's like I remember like when like right around the time like the Steven Jackson stuff was happening, he was like posting like similar stuff. So I think that's kind of more where he's coming from with it.
Okay.
But he basically tweeted that he's been
totally
like helping...
chill place to come from.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's definitely cool, but like. He's like a big Farrakhan guy. I think that's like his deal. But like I only like skimmed the articles about it because I try not to pay attention to this kind of stuff because it's just anything about the election that I don't have to pay attention to just like stresses me out.
It's all like, noise and garbage.
Oh, did I tell you I scheduled a float?
You actually got it?
Yeah. And I scheduled like one of like the 4-hour ones for when the results are coming in on the 3rd. I'm just gonna be completely off the grid. I'm not gonna be watching the TV coverage.
Dude,
I'm not gonna be looking at the exit polls. I'm not gonna be looking at anybody's tweets. It's gonna be fantastic,
bro. You are going to be vibrating at like several different frequencies higher than the rest of us at that time, because I can't even imagine the juxtaposition between like stressing watching cable news and being in an isolation float tank. Like,
have you been seeing the ads for the upcoming debate during the baseball playoffs? Because the baseball playoffs are on Fox.
Oh, that's fucking, oh yeah.
And so
these,
the ads are like advertising the debate coverage from Fox News. So it's all like Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham and like all them and like Tucker Carlson. And it's like the one today was just insane because it was like, we have a double header on Thursday. We've got the Amy Coney Barrett confirmation hearings, and then we've got Biden versus Trump for one more showdown. Every question counts. And it was just like the most insane like promo ad for a presidential debate.
Well, I mean, that's what CNN did, is like they took like somewhere along the line in like the 2000s, CNN was like, we're going to do what SportsCenter does for sports, but we're going to do it for politics and things that actually matter. And it's like, and it's just
like one of the most toxic things that's like ever happened into the. Did you and I watch the 2008 election together? Were we really like kicking it like that, like our freshman year?
I don't know if we were kicking it like. I don't remember really kicking it with that many people on 2008 election night. I do. Okay,
because I remember I was with some people. Like I think like Horwich might have come over to my place, but like it was like some people from our FIG, at least one or two people, were in my dorm watching like the CNN coverage, and I still just remember like they had. That was like when they first like had just debuted like the touch screen board where like Wolf Blitzer was like touching all these different state things, like, okay, let's say this state goes to Obama and like it's gonna like,
yeah, let's check in on this district or whatever, like
see what the exit polls are saying.
Right. Oh god, nothing sounds worse. Like I hope I have plans on election
you should get like me. You should do a float.
Yeah, maybe that might be. I am floating soon though. I'm floating this weekend.
Nice.
So I might.
Have you gone since the pandemic started?
I have. We went maybe like it was. I want to say during maybe the seeding games or like right before the seeding games.
So like at the start of the bubble.
Yeah, like early August, I want to say I went on a day that the Blazers didn't have a game or something, or that both the Blazers and Lakers weren't playing. So like I figured that would be a good day to go. And so we went and that it was, dude, it's still, it hits like getting shout out. I don't know if any of y'all have access to a float studio anywhere near you, but if you're feeling stressed out, if you feel like you're overexposed to digital technology, if you feel like you're overexposed to any type of stuff, like go to the tank and release that shit. That's where you go.
I made the reservation for election night, so I'm in good shape.
That's great, dude. That's
I'm
great.
hopeful that I'm gonna go into the float tank with, you know, results still kind of like exit polls still coming in, and come out and see that Trump is not the president. President. I don't know how I feel about it at this point. I try not to read like the day to day. Oh, well, the polls are saying this today, or like, this measure passed like so that they can count the ballots. Like I try to not read that stuff.
I saw a 538 headline today that I instantly said I am not clicking that shit or reading it or reading anything into it. And the headline was why Biden's lead is different. And I was like, please shut the fuck up. Like, don't fuck this up for us again, please.
Different from what?
From Hillary's like polling lead in 2016.
I have another question for you. When they said Biden's lead is different, did it have the steam face emojis next to it?
Is Joe Biden's campaign a bucket?
Is the integrity of the polls and like whether everybody's going to be able to have their votes counted fairly a problem? Steam face emoji.
Oh my god. Oh man. Oh dude, we have to talk about the greatest column that I've ever seen from NBC Sports Northwest's Dwight Jaynes this week.
Oh yeah, about the Daryl Morey one.
The Daryl Morey one, point by point about why Daryl Morey should not be the GM of the Blazers, which
half of them were like about how he sent a tweet about China.
Yeah, which like of course doesn't like does not, the author does not care. But the more important thing, the other more important thing was that nobody in the market or out of the market was even remotely suggesting that Daryl Morey become the general manager of the Portland Trailblazers. But now that Neil like sent this preemptive preemptive strike that via the Dwight missile to be like, it shouldn't happen. Now I'm like, hey, maybe we should think about it. Like I never even thought about it, but like maybe like, I mean, he clearly is a little scared. Like and that's how GMs are. They're paranoid and stuff. But like, it does make me wonder, like, if he's getting, and maybe, after breaking apart a team that went to the Western Conference Finals, and for all the injuries they had, to turn that team into the 8th seed, and to have your star player talk about how he misses the key players that they lost publicly on multiple podcasts, would make me a little scared if I was Neil Olshey.
Well, I told you what the vision is. The vision is, like, a year from now or whatever, when the economy recovers, Jody Allen sells the team. And then the new owner decides that they want to make a change in the front office. And by then, Daryl's out of the league for a year. The heat's kind of off of him for the China stuff.
Yeah, nobody will remember it.
And then they bring him in.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, keep your third eye open. And you have the Daryl Morey regime run until LeBron is ready to retire, and then he buys the Blazers, and Rich Paul is installed as GM.
Boom. You heard it here first. Daryl Morey, GM of the Blazers 2022.
Yeah. That's the vision. And I mean, the thing is, like, I think Dame would be on board with that, because the one thing you can say about Daryl, and we talked about this on the last episode after he stepped down, but he had, like, a superstar level, like MVP level guy in James Harden. And every single move that he made was, how can I put a better team around this guy so that we can try to win a championship? If give Daryl Morey somebody like Damian Lillard, he would do the same thing.
Yeah. And also one of the hilarious bullet points from that column where it's not always good to have the guts to make a big trade. And I read that as, like, are you kidding me? Like, first of all, like, that's clearly something from Neil's email. And second of all, like, it sounded like, it's just like, what world does that, like, take even manifest itself? Like, how can you look at the Rockets over the past, at least the Harden era? How can you look at that team and be like, oh yeah, they, like, them going for it all those times that they went for it, they definitely fucked up. Like, they went to the conference finals twice, pushed the best team ever to a 7th game, they had multiple arcs with this group, and the only reason they didn't have a center this year was because they brought in Westbrook and because Tilman Fertitta said Chris Paul was the worst contract in the league. And so, like, it, to me, it is like, I don't know how you could objectively look at it. And also, you just look at the league, like, literally almost like half of the league now is run by, like, former Daryl Morey employees. Like, right. It's undeniable to me. And it just seems like it was one of the most, I'm probably going to write about it at some point this week for Blazer Banter. Are you gonna start bringing the Blazer Banter newsletter back? It's been kind of quiet lately. I know. There's been nothing to talk about, but this thing it drove me insane, because it's like, it's basically like telling your fans to be like, just be okay with what you get. And it's just like,
you do know that it's very hard to get free agents to come to Portland, right?
Right, exactly. And it's so hard to make a trade too. I guess it is. It's better to not make a trade that's actively trying to make your team better and maybe take a little bit of a risk than it is to, just keep drafting in the 20s and keep convincing the fan base that guy that you drafted is going to be the future star that you've always needed. And it's like, but I know that people have a job to do, but, like, I'm sick of reading as someone who's interested in the Blazers. Like, I'm so sick of reading about Anthony Simons making the leap. Like, it's he's like
not even the best undervalued guard that they drafted that year.
No, it's Groundhog's Day. Like, what world are we, like, can we wait for him to be good for, like, a stretch of, like, 10 games before we just be like, oh, this kid making the step? Like, please. Like, that's another reason why, like, I want Rondo. Like, we've talked about this before on the podcast, but, like, for the Blazers, like, if they could get Rondo, that would be perfect, because Evan Turner's in town and I think he's trying to get a job, probably with the Blazers. But
job, you mean like not playing job?
Yeah. But I also mean, like, we've seen that movie before. Like, Portland does need ball handling help, but I don't want it to be Evan Turner. Like, I
is he trying to, like, still play, or, like, what's?
Oh, bro, he's trying to still play.
Or is it gonna be like a Channing?
He's only like 31.
Right, but or is it gonna be like a Channing Frye situation where like he just still lives here and he's like trying to get into the media game or something?
I mean, he's not that old. Like, I don't think he's out of the league.
No, he's made a lot of money though. He might just like be chilling. I don't know.
I mean, he's working out with Dame like all the time.
Okay.
Like him and Dame and Tim Frazier are all working out.
You know what? Now that you bring it up, now that you put it like that, I could just that's something I can totally see Neil doing.
Just bringing Evan Turner back for the minimum.
Well, just the thing is, he was fine for the most part when he was on the Blazers. It was like a Joe Johnson situation or like a Carlos Boozer situation where people just hated him because he was making as much money as he was making.
Yeah, I mean,
And the funny thing is, he would have fit a lot better on this team than he did on any of the teams he was on.
Well, yeah, because they didn't have Seth Curry taking minutes and touches,
right.
And they still need someone that does that job to like really get Dame off the ball and get CJ off the ball and like to really run the offense and be kind of a point guard. And then Evan also has the positional versatility where he can like guard the 3s and 4s while setting your offense up. Like he does have that. So, I mean, it would help. And it would definitely be cheaper than Rondo because I do think Rondo's going to get a raise from whatever the league minimum that he was making this year.
I'd rather have Rondo just for the
well, yeah.
For the vibes.
Well, also your playoff ceiling is way higher with Rondo.
Yeah.
Like you could really do some things with Rondo in the playoffs in a 3-guard lineup or 4-guard lineup if you want to throw Gary Trent in there. Like you could do a lot of cool stuff, and Rondo could set up easy baskets for Nurk and maybe Zach Collins as well. Also, back to the point that you made about guys wanting to maybe take a 1-year deal at lower value. I think I told a Blazer fan this today, and he told me that I was ruining his day. But I think there's a non-zero chance Hassan Whiteside is a Blazer again.
Oh, on a
1 year, like $6 million or something like that, where he just takes 1 year, maybe rebuild the goodwill around the league, and don't be such a because he was good in game 1 of the playoffs and then was terrible from that point on, really. And maybe he has a bounce back year, maybe shows he can play a little backup and doesn't, ruin, whatever. Like
maybe Neil just runs back all of his guys. He brings back Whiteside, you bring back Evan Turner, you bring back Harkless, you bring back Myers.
Harkless, sources say that he is invested in a vineyard in Oregon. So, recently invested in a vineyard in Oregon. Sources say.
Is this going to be like is his vineyard versus like is Mo Harkless wines versus McCollum Estates wines? Is that going to be like the big face and little face coffee of the Blazers?
I think it might. I think it might be. Because I do know that Mo has been doing some business in the state of Oregon, but not to say that is going to like make him a Blazer. Like obviously, Greg Popovich has a winery out here. He isn't running the Blazers. Yet. Third eye. Keep it open. Who's to say? What if he wants to leave?
I don't know. I mean, he was rumored to be in consideration by the Nets. And
he does seem like more of a Portland guy than a Brooklyn guy. I feel like he's just more in that stage of his life where it's like, he probably doesn't want to live in the city.
This would be as like the team president or like as a figurehead because we aren't firing Terry. We aren't trying to do that.
No, we're not. But hey, I do think that Neil Olshey is a little scared for his job right now. That's
just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just because it does seem like, I mean, the doth protesting way too much is basically what that was my read on it. It's like, well, hey a minute, like nobody was bringing this up, but now that you do bring it up, maybe we should consider.
Kind of makes some sense, yeah.
Yeah. So, shout out to Neil for giving us that heads up. So the Pacers hired a coach. The Pelicans are probably going to hire Stan.
The Thunder still haven't hired a coach. We're still hire David Vanderpool challenge is still in effect.
Yeah, what is Mike?
Sam Presti.
What is Mike D going to do? Retire?
No, he's probably going to go on somebody's staff. I don't know whose, but
dude, Mike. Yeah, it's pretty crazy that Mike D just Like he was like gonna get the Pacers. He probably, because Herb Simon is also a broke boy. Herb Simon is like his money's like all in malls,
right?
So he's lost a lot of money too. So that's probably another reason why they went the like under the radar assistant route with signing Björk, because they didn't want to sign Mike D for like $7 to $8 million a year or whatever he was going to ask for.
It seemed like D'Antoni was going to get the Philly job until Doc somehow like unexpectedly became available. And then that kind of set up all these other, because like I know Ty Lue was in the mix for that job, but like Ty Lue had also talked to the Pelicans, and he had talked to the, not that Tilman could afford to pay him, but he was talking to the Rockets. Like, and you know, I think he probably would have had a good shot at the Pelicans job because David Griffin was the GM when he was in Cleveland, and like there was a relationship there. So I think D'Antoni probably would have gotten the Philly job if Doc hadn't unexpectedly gotten fired and become available, and then they did that, and then the Clippers elevated Ty Lue, and then seems like I don't know, D'Antoni in New Orleans would be interesting, but it seems like Stan is probably the front runner there. I don't know.
I don't know, dude. I don't think D'Antoni wouldn't like that. I don't like the guy that you're building your team around is a center, and D'Antoni hates centers. Like
yeah, but Zion is like a you know, he's not a center in the way that like I don't know. Like,
I mean, he's skilled and he's efficient. Like he's very efficient and he's great in the post. Like he's really good in the post. But like it doesn't seem like it like getting spacing and doing ISOs and stuff like that instead of like a guy who really does a lot of work with his back to the basket with D'Antoni. It just doesn't really seem like a fit, just knowing how he feels about posting up in general. So like, I don't know about that. I think it might be like maybe a wait and see who gets fired, next year, because I mean, there's really no open jobs left. Like no, there aren't. Like it's New Orleans and Houston right now.
And then Sacramento basically telegraphed they're going to fire Luke Walton like 10 games into the season
and hire Alvin Gentry.
Yeah. Which
shout out to Joe Dumars. Dude, Joe Dumars on the two phones making moves, bro. He's ready, dude. Joe Dumars is out here.
Well, they already hired like the guy from the Rockets front office to be their new GM.
They did, but Joe Dumars helped make that hire.
Yeah. So,
dude, I feel like Joe Dumars is like slowly positioning himself in a almost like Linda Rambis type of like shadow GM, shadow person in charge position.
You know, we've talked about this before. We're both pro Joe Dumars.
We are.
We feel like people talk about him like he's David Kahn because the last few years of those Pistons didn't go well, but he's also built a championship team without any conventional stars, like,
and a perennial contender. Like they made the conference finals like 6 years in a row. Like that's and they almost beat the Spurs for another championship while he was the GM.
We're Joe Dumars hive over here.
Yeah, I'm sure. And like obviously he went, like we've talked about it. He went for the big swing with Josh Smith and all those lefties, and like it didn't work. But like now, give him another shot. I think his fingerprints are all over this. I'm high on the Gentry era. I did see, this is a cool rumor. I did see at the bottom of Shams's column last week. Maybe this will be our last point because we're kind of long. But the Bucks interested in Bogdan Bogdanovic.
Yeah, that I like.
I like that. I like that a lot. I like Bogdan on a lot of teams. But Bogdan on basically any team would be great. But him getting another like real creator there with Giannis, and a guy that is like really a true playmaker, because like Middleton can get to his spot, but he's not creating any offense for anybody else really. They need somebody that can get his own shot and then also create enough attention to where he's getting open looks for other guys and can also hit the open looks that he gets from Giannis. Like I like all of the different things that Bogdan can do. And I think that would be really cool. I think the coolest thing about the offseason is it's going to be fun. Like there's going to be, but we just have no idea what the offseason even looks like right now. So I'm glad.
It sounds like in the next couple of weeks, I saw Woj had the other day that like they're like the two sides are optimistic that in the next couple of weeks they'll get all that stuff hammered out.
I think October 30th is the deadline.
They pushed it back, but I think they think that they're going
to. They pushed it to October 30th.
Well, right, yeah, they pushed it to October 30th, but I read the Woj story about that, and I think they think they're going to hit that deadline.
Well, yeah, I mean, they still have another couple of weeks after that to figure out the draft.
Yeah,
and I still have done the only draft thing that I know about right now is, did you see the video of Devin Vassell or Devin Vassell? I don't know how to say his name. He's like a projected first round pick, and the only reason I saw a video of him is because some trainer posted a shot, like a video of him shooting jumpers, and he had it like he was like cocking it all the way back behind his head, and like everyone on Twitter was like, "What the fuck happened?" Like it felt like it was like Markel all over again. Like where people were like, "What the fuck happened to this guy's shot?" It was fine.
Is it the same trainer that?
No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was Markel's trainer.
Did you see Jonathan Abrams wrote like story about Obi Toppin today?
No.
That and the line that all the Knicks fans were running with was Obi Toppin has reached out to NBA players such as Kevin Knox to talk about like what it's like to transition into the NBA. So,
I mean, good for him. He's grifting. He wants to get in New York. I know nothing about Obi Toppin. He was the player of the year, I believe, but I think draft people are kind of low on him, right?
Ricky said that he's like could be the best offensive player in the draft class and the worst defensive player in the draft class.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
I tend to believe. Here's the thing about kids. I do tend to believe that if you're really good at offense, you can become a good defender. But I think if you're, and I think you can also get good at offense as well if you're a really good defender and you're maybe not so good at offense. I think you can improve on those things. So I'm not going to say that like he's going to be a bad defender for the rest of his life. I don't know shit about him. But I do think we do this a lot of times with young players. We're like, well, this guy is a bad defender right now coming out of college, and now we're going to put him in the NBA and he's going to be a bad defender for the rest of his life. Like, he's not going to be, if he's on the Knicks, for instance, and they have, let's say they make the trade and they keep Obi Toppin and they get like Chris Paul or something. He's not going to be asked to do all the stuff that he was asked to do in college on the offensive end and also have to play defense. You know what I mean? Like the roles, I think, play a big part. Like, you know, a lot of people give shit to Kyle Kuzma, but Kyle Kuzma is way better at defense than he used to be. And they would put him on like some of their like really good offensive players on the other team because he's 6'9", and it's like Obi Toppin is like what, 6'8". Like, if you just try hard, you're not going to be that bad. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with Michael Porter. Like, Michael Porter is not going to be shitting on defense for the rest of his career. Like, he will get better at some point.
Except against infectious diseases because he hasn't had a vaccine.
I think that's a great place.
We somehow got an hour and 17 minutes out of like absolutely no real NBA news.
No, and out of just like, let's talk. And like,
yeah,
we were just like, fuck it.
This is good. We're gonna do the Kelsey episode this weekend for the Patreon.
Yes,
so patreon.com/BullsVBlazers and
our last Skip Bayless reading.
And then we got to come up with a new gimmick for the Patreon after that.
Yeah, maybe we'll look into some other sports books. Oh, dude, I just actually have a great idea.
What?
There is a book that I have that we were actually using on our old couch as like a support because I read like the first page of it and I was like, this is shit. LeBron James and Buzz Bissinger wrote a book together where
I know which one you're talking about. I haven't read it.
It's about LeBron's high school team and their run to a national championship in his senior year. But
was this before or after Buzz Bissinger's like Gucci addiction?
Oh, I think this fed Buzz Bissinger's Gucci addiction because this book came out in like 2010 or 2020, like 2007.
Was this more than a game?
No, this is like the book version kind of more than a game, but it's written in a first person style, but it's like really weird. Like, it doesn't feel like LeBron is really writing this at all. And and it's written with Buzz Bissinger because this is like at the height of, you know, Friday Night Lights fame and all this shit. And like,
that's a show I told myself I was going to watch during quarantine and then never did.
Well, I mean, we're in the middle of COVID spike number 2, so maybe it's a good time to think about that again. But
after the baseball playoffs are over, I'll pick another.
They're turning this book though into a movie. Like they optioned it for like Warner Brothers or something. So I think there's like,
is this like a Spring Hill thing?
Yeah, I think it's a Spring Hill thing, and they have a deal with Warner Brothers. So that's how it's all going down. But but there might be some like good bad things in there.
Maybe,
but I don't know. But that's
we'll take it under advisement.
I'll do the advance and put myself through reading that again, which I was not stoked on the first time. But maybe there's some shitty things in there that we can write about, or maybe there's some interesting gems in there that we can discuss about LeBron in his high school days. But I think this
is part of LeBron's star text.
Exactly, it is part of the text. So.
So, just as always, patreon.com/BullsVBlazers. Find us on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, wherever else you get podcasts, subscribe, rate, review, all the things that everybody says is good for podcasts. We'll be back with you guys this weekend with a Patreon episode. Thanks for listening.